In this video, we'll build a full-stack Web3 application. We'll first deploy an ERC1155 semi-fungible NFT collection onto the Goerli Ethereum test network. Then we'll create a Next.js application using Typescript to build a web app on top of our smart contract and interact with it using thirdweb. And we'll incorporate both Web2 Auth and Web3 Auth using NextAuth and thirdweb's new authentication SDK, which allows you to click a button and sign in with your Ethereum wallet following the sign in with Ethereum standard. And will allow users to click a button to attempt to mint an NFT from our collection, but the trick is we'll only allow them to mint if they have a contribution to one of our GitHub repositories. And to do that, we'll use a process called signature-based minting. So if you're excited for this build, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. But with that said, let's jump right into the code. All right, let's get started. So the first command I ran is npx thirdweb create -- next app -- and -- ts. And what that does is creates a new Next.js application with TypeScript and with thirdweb installed and the thirdweb provider wrapping our application. So it's all pre-configured with thirdweb React SDK and TypeScript SDK set up for us. I've actually already gone and done that. So that was just kind of to show you how I got set up with this initial project that we have here. So as you can see, we have the _app.js file, is wrapped in the thirdweb provider with this active chain ID here of Goerli. So we're going to be using the Goerli testnet. I just quickly changed this from mainnet to Goerli, just so we don't use any real funds on accident. And in the index.tsx file, we can use the connect wallet button, and we can use all of the hooks since we react our application in the thirdweb provider component. So we can access hooks like, I don't know, const address is equal to use address. We have all of these React hooks. I'm going to show you. We have use by now, use chain ID, claim conditions, all of that good stuff. And that's all available since we have that context provided by this thirdweb provider component wrapping the application. So with that said, let's get into the purpose of this video, I guess, is to have an application where users can come in and attempt to claim an NFT from the NFT drop, but their attempts are restricted based on if they have contributed to the thirdweb repo or any of the thirdweb repos inside the thirdweb dev organization on GitHub. So we're going to be using a process called signature-based minting. If I bring these beautiful docs into frame, we have this signature-based minting or on-demand minting. And essentially, as it says here, how it works is wallet A generates a signature for a token or an NFT. And wallet B, or the wallet specified by that signature that wallet A generated, can use the signature to mint whatever is defined in that signature. So for example, an example signature might be you can mint one NFT with this metadata that I provided, and you can only mint it within the next hour. Might be an example signature that wallet A might generate here. And wallet B can utilize that signature to claim that NFT, right? Or mint that NFT. So essentially what it allows us to do is we're going to run any kind of checks or off-chain checks before we generate that signature. So in our case, we're going to check if the connected account has committed anything to any of the thirdweb repos. And before we generate that signature, we'll make sure that is true. So we'll say, this user must have committed something or made a contribution to thirdweb's repos before we generate that signature and send it back to the client so they can utilize. And you can kind of see that in this on-demand minting example we have already. So this allows the user to connect their Discord account, and it uses NextAuth under the hood. So we'll take a quick look. It uses quickly, I think it's in this API. Yep, Auth. So it uses NextAuth under the hood, and we have a Discord provider. So you connect your wallet, you connect with Discord, and I'll just close Steam here. Connect with wallet, connect with Discord, and then you check if you're in a Discord server. So in this API /generate signature, it checks if you are part of the Discord server here on line 18. So it says await fetch at me/guilds. And /guilds returns all of the servers that you're a part of. They're just called guilds for some reason in the API. And you get that data, pass it as JSON, and find if the Discord server ID that you're checking is in that array of servers that come back. So map each server to its server ID and try and find the Discord server that you provided, which is up here on line 9. This is just I think this is the thirdweb Discord server as the example. Try and find it, and if you don't, or if you're not part of that server, you don't pass the criteria for this signature generation, then you get a 403 response. And this is just checking that's not really relevant. I'm just going to skip that. And this is just for the example because people forget to put their private key. That's why I'm skipping that. It's not that relevant. And this is where the payload, the signed payload, which is just a signature, gets generated based on the criteria that wallet A in that example, or the admin wallet, specifies. So it says NFT collection, which is specified here, SDK.get NFT collection .signature.generate, and the admin wallet, the owner of this NFT collection, generates a signature with the criteria that it must be claimed by the wallet address that got sent to this API. So the person that sent this, their wallet address to this request is the one who received the signature. It passes the metadata, so you can only mint this NFT if it has the metadata, because the signature won't be valid if you try and modify it. You can only mint based on the signature that gets provided, and all of the information has to be the exact same as specified in the signature. So that's why it's kind of useful, is like you're allowing people to mint NFTs into your collection, but at the same time, you're enforcing these really, really strict rules and these strict kind of criteria under which the NFT must be claimed. So the NFT must have a name of the web Discord member NFT. It has an image. Actually, don't know what that is. I think it's maybe their profile picture. And the NFT rewarded for being part of the thirdweb community. So that's the metadata of the NFT that gets generated, and it gets sent back as a signed payload to the client. So we go back to the client request for this. We have the API being called in this mint NFT function here. And we request the API, pass in the claimer address. This is kind of unsafe because you can technically pass in any address here. So you could claim on behalf of another wallet address. You could use the Auth module to get around this, because that's kind of the whole point of the Auth module actually, is that you do prove that the address is currently owned by the person. They're not impersonating another wallet, but that's kind of just a side piece. We'll probably implement that Auth in our example just to be more safe, because this is kind of manipulatable. You could send another person's wallet address, and then that person would have the claimer address field and be able to claim a signature. I'll use a signature even though they're not in the Discord server. So this is kind of unsafe, which maybe we'll address in this video. And we can see that the signature gets utilized here on line 72 to 86. It says, if the signature.status, which is the API call response, is equal to 200, then we utilize that signature to call .signature.mint here on line 75. Excuse me. So that's pretty much the whole application, I guess, is this one line. Is like everything depends on the steps before this, and then utilize the signature to mint the NFT, and that's pretty much it. So instead of using Discord as we do in this example, what we're going to do is we're going to use GitHub, change NextAuth to use GitHub rather than Discord, but the whole kind of project is going to be pretty similar to this, and we're going to use the Auth package of thirdweb, which has been released after I made this repo, to prove the address is to prove the person sending the request is who they're actually claiming to be, and they can't just pass in any wallet address. And we verify that the person making the request is actually who they claim to be on the server side using the thirdweb Auth, which was released not long ago. So we take a look at this. We can see we verify the client-side wallet address on the backend using sign in with Ethereum. So the user will sign in. They'll sign a message prompted to the MetaMask wallet. In this case, I'm going to be using MetaMask, and that kind of signs them in on the client side, and that gets validated every time they try and make a request on behalf of that wallet on the server side using this Auth SDK. So let's that's kind of the context of what we're going to try and build. And all we have to begin with is this basic Next.js project where we have the ThirdWeb provider setup, the ThirdWeb React SDKs, Typescript SDK, and the connect wallet button here. So I guess the kind of flow is, bring up maybe a diagram here. The flow might be something like number one. Oh, that's going to be small. Number one, if I zoom in, whoa, too big. Number one, yeah, there we go. And let's make this white. All right, so number one is going to be sign in with wallet using thirdweb Auth. We'll hook up NextAuth to use GitHub. Hope that's possible. So sign in with wallet, sign in with GitHub using NextAuth. So that's kind of the login flow. And at this point, you have a authenticated user with GitHub as well as their wallet. And you'll be able to determine when they click a button. So they'll click a button that says claim NFT, claim NFT. And this triggers an API request. Trigger an API request. Request. And the API request, we're going to be using Next.js API Routes. And that just runs server-side code for us. So we can say /API / I don't know, generate signature as we did in the community rewards example. And we fetch that API request with some information like the currently connected wallet address or whatever we're trying to achieve on that API request. I'm not exactly sure of the full details just yet. And maybe let's go sideways from here. This is server-side code here. On the server-side code, what we want to do here, let me fix up my posture, is we want to, let's maybe add some more details here. So we want to trigger an API request to try claim, or to check my, to try and claim an NFT. And we want to say user here is trying to claim, are they eligible to claim? i.e., do they have any GitHub contributions to any of our repos? If they do, then generate the signature. Yes, generate signature. No, return 401 or whatever the non-authorized is. And then from this yes, we'll come back to the client side here and say sign or use the signature to claim / mint the NFT. All right, excellent. So the first step of this process is we actually need the, I should probably mention one more thing before we get started, is we're going to be using a pre-built NFT contract called the signature drop that allows this kind of claiming functionality. So you upload the NFTs that you want to be present in this NFT collection. And then actually, maybe we'll use the the edition. Ooh, depends what kind of NFTs we want to build. So edition has signature-based minting. And you can signature mint a quantity of the same NFT. So I think we might actually use edition here rather than signature drop. Because, yeah, I think that makes sense. Signature drop also allows signature-based minting, but you pre-upload the ERC1155 NFTs, which are all unique, and claim from the drop based on signature-based minting from that. But what we're going to do instead is we'll have an edition and we'll mint an NFT that has an unspecified quantity. And each time a user tries to claim, we'll mint new quantity into that same NFT. So each NFT in the edition has the same metadata. Each unique token. Sorry, I should explain that better. Each token in the edition has unique metadata, but you can have multiple quantity of each token. So that's known as semi-fungible tokens. meaning they're not unique one-of-ones, but you have multiple owners of each token ID. And each token ID can have different metadata. So you essentially use the same metadata multiple times and have multiple owners of the same NFT, which is why it's called kind of semi-fungible. It's not like a one-to-one owner mapping. So go ahead and click deploy edition here. And we'll call this my edition. Just give it some dummy metadata here. Let's go ahead and, what do we want to do? Let's give it, I think we have some example metadata repos. I think we do. Yeah, here it is. Thirdweb demo assets, shapes, images. I'll get this gold star. My awesome GitHub edition stuff. Let's go ahead and deploy this to Goerli. Switch file here. Cool. So from here, I believe what we'll be able to do is we'll mint an NFT. So let's say you get a purple star if you've contributed. Contributor NFT. Thanks for contributing. And we have an initial supply. Okay, initial supply. I don't know if I want that. We'll see. We'll see. We have initial supply of 1, maybe. Let's just say 0. Initial supply of 0. And what we'll do is, in the meantime, here we go. So mint that NFT. We should be able to add more. I'm pretty sure we can. If I go to the docs here, interact with the contracts, NFTs, edition, you should be able to mint an NFT from the metadata of another one. I think that is a thing. Whoops. All right, let's try it out. So let's say example function, async function, generate, I don't know, stuff. I'm just gonna test it out, see if it's actually possible. Async function generate stuff. Let's connect to our contract first. We'll say cont edition is equal to use edition. Contract address here. That hasn't been deployed. Looks like that's just gone through. Cool, copy that from the dashboard. So use edition, and then we'll say within stuff, we'll say edition dot mint additional supply. There we go. Mint additional supply to, so increase the supply of an existing NFT and mint it to a given wallet address. That's what I want. We actually don't need the signature-based minting then, because we can just call this. So we can do all of our off-chain checks, and then on the admin wallet, we'll call mint additional supply to. We actually won't need signature-based minting here. Okay, that's really interesting. But it will need to come from the admin wallet, so it still needs to be on the server side. So if we go back to our chart, which I don't know where it's gone, here it is. So rather than generate signature, we'll say mint, what was that function called? Mint additional supply to, and maybe we'll make that a different color. Let's go with nice orange. Okay, that's not what I wanted. But anyway, looks good. And instead of using the signature, we actually don't need to do anything here. So just say alert, message, success, or fail. We'll change this arrow to just kind of point to this orange stuff here. So alert message of success or fail. We don't need that signature-based minting anymore, since the admin wallet will actually just mint it straight to the address that gets passed in. And that's really important, because that's why we'll need the Auth SDK from thirdweb. So let's go ahead and actually add that in. So we add yarn add at thirdweb-dev/auth. So I'll explain what that does in a little bit, but now our kind of general flow is, we have a button. Let's just go ahead and do that. We have a button that calls our API routes. Let's maybe add this API route first. So I have a page called API. We have a API route called generate signature.ts. And let's just go ahead and get the basic Next.js TypeScript. Sorry, I'll bring this in a frame. Next.js TypeScript. I just want the boilerplate code for the API route here. This looks good. Ooh, you can do typed data. Is that for the response? Yeah, the response. That's pretty cool. I wonder if that affects the client. Like, does the client know the expected response? That's pretty interesting. Yeah, Prettier complains about this for me. Export default function, generate signature, and we'll convert that from an arrow function. I don't know why it does that for me. All right, so yeah, I'm actually really curious. Does this data type get sort of propagated to the client? Like, if I make an API request, let's say, I'm assuming it doesn't, right? Async function request client request server. Let's get GitHub Copilot to do this. Fetch the generate signature API route. Yep, that looks good. I wonder if it types that for us. No. Or if you get the JSON, does it do it? Await const hello await response to JSON. This is not of type data. Okay. I guess if you cast it though, because it enforces it here. That's interesting. I didn't know about that. So if I say hello, this will error because it's not the expected data type. And if you extract this type, that's pretty interesting. You could extract this type out, cast it as data here. I guess it's pretty useful. Let's not do that though, because it's going to be a type that we can import from the... Oh, actually, maybe we could do that. Let's try it out. So next API response should return... Oh, I actually don't know the type off the top of my head. We'll get to that though. Let's say to do. All right, so in this generate signature, we want to... What do we want to do? We want to first verify the user using the web auth. And we also need to verify the user with NextAuth, their GitHub account. Then we want to say generate. That's not what we want to do. We shouldn't call this generate signature. We should rename it to be claim NFT, I guess. Claim, you can't have capitals, hey. It needs to be claim dash NFT. And from here, we'll say check their GitHub contributions. Maybe let's start with just one repo and we can change it from there. So check if they have contributed to, which repo should we do? We could do the React SDK, sure. Check if they have contributed to this. And if they have, let's change this to claim NFT. For if they have, call the mint additional supply to from the edition contract. All right, so that's the general flow. If they haven't, send an error back saying, yep, sounds good. All right, so that's the general flow. There's a few things we need to set up first. Let's go ahead and set up the web auth, I think is the first thing we want to do. So we'll go to the portal, we'll add auth here, so overview. This actually isn't documented right now. This is really new. We'll be adding docs for that shortly. Let's go to NFT Gated website. This repo has the auth required, so you can see here, we actually have a guide for this. Maybe that's a bit better. NFT Gated website guide. So let's go ahead and see. So in this guide, we use edition drop. We're using an edition, that's fine. And the first thing we want to do is we want in the thirdweb provider, we need to have this auth config. And that is going to use the domain name, which I just realized is an error because I haven't imported that. That's okay. Hopefully people figure that out. We have auth config, domain, auth URL, login redirect. So let's go ahead and configure that in our ThirdWeb provider in the underscore app.tsx here. So we have desired chain ID, that's fine. Within here we have auth config, and I believe we have an auth config file. So create a new file called auth.config.js. Hopefully that can be ts for us. auth.config.ts. And we can export our private key. So the first thing we do is import thirdweb auth. Second thing we do is export that. So, there's another error. Jeez, terrible guide. Whoever wrote this needs to fix it up. Shit. And I'm actually gonna make a note of that. In a serious note, we'll fix that up. All right, so we have private key. We need to export our wallet's private key, and we need to add our domain. Our domain is gonna be, I don't know, let's just call it example.org. And from here, we'll put our private key. So I'm gonna go ahead and export my private key from my MetaMask wallet. Probably not gonna do that on screen. And it's important, what I'm about to do is not best practice. So I'm about to use an environment variable for my private key just because it's easy. And I don't really care, it's just a burner wallet for me. If somebody gains access to this, I'm not that fussed. So what I'm about to do is not best practice. We do have a page here on setting up and how to secure your private key using a secret manager. And it teaches you how to use Google Cloud Secret Manager. You can store up to 4 or 5 secrets for free every month if you use Google Cloud Secret Manager. You can use their SDK to pull in your secrets using what is it called? I swear I wrote it here, a service account, that's the word I'm looking for, to access your secrets, and you can rotate the service accounts keys that get used, so it's just an overall more safe way. And the main reason is if we have it in a local file, it's obviously more kind of hackable or attackable if you have it stored on your computer. So if you really do care about your private key, which you should because it gives you full access over your wallet, then you should follow the best practice here to use a secret manager such as Google Cloud Secret Manager. But just for simplicity in this video, I'm just going to use an environment variable. So I'll go ahead and create a file called .env.local at the root. Is that really not in gitignore? I don't have a git repo in it. Okay, never mind. So I'm going to go ahead and add my private key. So we'll say in this guide, it says thirdweb auth private key environment variable. Actually doesn't recommend that. It says thirdweb auth private key. I think that's what we do in this example here. Let's go and double check that. Thirdweb auth private key. The web auth private key, your wallet private key. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and chuck that in off screen. Cool, looking good. And we can say here, process.env.thirdweb auth private key as string. Domain is example.org. That looks good. And for our NFT gated website, we have the private key, we have an auth endpoint. So we have a catch-all API route called pages/API/auth. All right, so let's go ahead and add that. So we have pages/API/auth. Whoops, pages/API. It's a folder called auth. And this is the catch-all API route, thirdweb.ts. And within this file, all we have to do is import the config and export the thirdweb auth handler. So basically we import our config from this file. We have the private key and used to generate the messages or the signatures. the messages that the user is going to sign to kind of prove their identity and sign in with Ethereum following the sign in with Ethereum standard. And the domain is just what's going to show up. It's going to say example.org wants you to connect your wallet with this website or something like that. You'll see it a little bit. And all we're doing is importing it and then exporting it. And this thirdweb auth handler behind the scenes, maybe I'll show you quickly what that's doing. So we're going to take a look at auth. We can see in the next folder here, we have index and we have routes. So index is exporting this thirdweb auth handler down here on line 49, and it takes in the arguments of a next request, next API request, next API response, and says to the thirdweb auth router, handle this request, which is up here. So it says thirdweb auth router, taking in the request, the response, the context, all the stuff that you would expect to see in a Next.js API route. And it says, okay, if it handles 3 API routes within that catch-all API route. So with this spread syntax, the triple dot, thirdweb.ts, that's a catch-all. Maybe I'll show you the docs for that. Next.js catch-all API route. Dynamic API routes here. So we have API routes support dynamic routes, which is, if you don't know, you can catch a pattern. So let's say you have pages/post/ in square brackets, the ID of the post. This will capture if the user goes to yourwebsite.com/pages/post/1, it will load the one available for you in this line here. So you can say, I don't know, fetch post 1 from the database and then show it. So it's kind of how, it's a really, really, really useful tool that Next.js provides, where you can have post/1 and fetch the data for post 1, show post 1. And you have this kind of dynamic structure where you have one page or one piece of code that is capable of showing data depending on the route that users reach. So for example, you would have this same code for page 1, page 2, page 3, and it saves you writing a page, depending on every route with this dynamic route. And we take it a step further with API routes, or we take it a step further with the spread operator here. So let's say catch all routes. We have dynamic routes can be extended to catch all paths by adding 3 dots inside the brackets. So pages/post/slug, and this, rather than just catching post/A, it catches post/B, post A, B, C, so on and so on. And you can destructure those as you please. So you can see slug A, B, etc., etc. And what we're doing is a dynamic API route where we're using a catch-all API route. So we have the 3 dot syntax here, and we have a catch-all for /login. Where's the thing on here? So we have a catch-all that catches /login. We have a catch-all that catches /login, user, and logout. So those are the 3 that it handles, and it says if it's not one of those, then something's gone wrong. Like, I don't know how you ended up here if you did, but something in the actual SDK is sending you to the wrong place for auth. So this should probably never happen realistically. And basically what we're doing is we're going to call functions within the auth SDK that calls internally these API routes and expects the auth handler to be exported with the config that you specify in this file. Well, you don't have to, you could just hard code it in this file if you want. But yeah, you actually, can you hard code it? Yeah, all we're doing is exporting it from thirdweb auth. Okay, yeah, sorry, I just got a bit confused there. So we're exporting it with our details, our private key and our domain, and we're exporting it on all of these catch-all API routes. So every time the SDK internally makes a request to log in or user or log out, it will hit this and it says, okay, I don't know what to do here, but all I've said is import our config and export it, which just exports all of this logic and lets the SDK handle it under the hood. So that's pretty much what's going on here. And what this allows us to do, if we go back to our guide here, is we can allow the user to log in. I think that's a bit further down in the guide. Log in. Here it is. So we have the use login hook. So let's go ahead and on our homepage, let's say, first of all, you can click a button that calls the login with thirdweb / sign in with Ethereum here. And we have a button that first we need to import, believe that comes from the React package. We have import use login. Yep. If I show you the docs, that says hook to securely log into a backend with a connected wallet. The backend authentication URL has been configured in the thirdweb provider. Not sure if we actually ever did that. We didn't. Okay, so auth URL is going to be domain name, which we didn't specify. This is going to be example.org. And this needs to match up with what we specified in the config file here. And the next one we want is, that's actually not the right field. This needs to be the domain name. Should be example.org. Auth URL is actually, what does it say here? The backend URL of the authentication endpoints. For example, if your endpoints are log in and log out, then it should be /to API/auth, which is exactly what we're doing. So /API/auth. Domain name is example.org. It's not called that, it's called domain. And login redirect is where we want to send the user after they sign in. Maybe we'll have two pages. We'll have a login and we'll have a home page. So let's send them back to the home page here. And we'll have a page that's called login.tsx. And from this page, if I just put some boilerplate code here, we have the button to say we'll have one button to sign in with Ethereum and one button to sign in with GitHub. All right, so let's get that export from thirdweb React. Let's go back to our login page. We'll import the doesn't look like I copied it. Use login hook from thirdweb-dev/React. We have a button to call that hook. So we need to get the hook inside of our component here. Say const login is equal to use login. And then on this button, hopefully Copilot's figured it out. Button is equal to onClick. I think this needs to be an arrow function. Login, call that. And that will hopefully prompt the user if we check this out. And we need to fix this up, it looks like. Hello. And we'll run yarn dev, hit up localhost 3000 here. Bring this into frame view. If we go to the login route, I think we called it. And we have a big button here, it says sign in with Ethereum. We click it, it calls that use login hook with the login function that we got from that use login hook inside the component. It says example.org wants you to sign in with your account, the connected wallet address or the wallet address that isn't connected yet. Make sure that the requesting domain above matches the URL of the website. It gives us a nonce and an expiration time. Go ahead and sign that. Cannot read properties. Oh, that looks like an error with our private key. That's interesting. All right. That's not good.
20 minutes later.
What? If I name this to .env, does it work? Oh, it's not .env.local. Oh my goodness, I had the wrong file name this whole time. Okay. All right, there we go. So this should work now. If we run yarn dev command again, yarn dev, it should say loaded. Yeah, there we go. Okay, it's loaded the environment variables. So now we don't have to paste our private key anymore, and it should be happy with us. All right, so if we go to the login page here, log in, whoops, and we click F12 here to check up the console. Zoom in a little bit. Sign in with Ethereum. Example.org wants you to sign in. It doesn't completely die because our environment variable is the right file name. Okay, we figured it out. All right, I was about to go off camera and figure that out for a little bit, but I think I'll just cut it. And we figured it out. So my private key is being read as an environment variable. Go ahead and not console log that anymore. Maybe I'll remember to blur that, but it is just a test wallet. If you do want to hack my test NFTs, feel free to do so, but I don't know, maybe, I don't know. I'm debating in my head whether I should blur my test wallet private key. I think I probably should, just to be safe. All right. Anyways, what we're doing is we have this thirdweb auth handler now being exported from this catch-all API route. So this is going to handle the login, the logout, and the, I think it was called the user API endpoints for us. So this catches all of them, exports the default thirdweb auth handler from the auth API right here. We might actually have to rename this because I'm pretty sure this is going to conflict with NextAuth, but we'll see. So now we are authenticated on the login page, sorry, on the index page here. And what we do is we can then get the user. So we can say const, I believe it's get user. We can see here, maybe use user, yep, hook to get the currently logged in user. So if we say const user is equal to use user, don't think we need to pass anything in here. And then we could say console.log. First of all, let's get the addition. And first, after that, we'll console log the user. Cool. And we'll rerun the undev here. Refresh the page. We should see the addition. So we have the addition contract. That looks good and connected. And we have the user. Whoops. So user is loading. I actually didn't know I had that flag. Is loading .user.address. Very nice. Okay, so maybe let's deconstruct that out. So we could say const is loading and user. So now we have that, and we have our connected contract. Go ahead and close this Steam thing. It's annoying me. All right, so we've logged in. We signed in with Ethereum. We can access the currently connected wallet on the homepage or any other page we want. And now on the login page, I think the step before should be you connect with GitHub, because so one is button to sign in with GitHub, two is button to sign in with Ethereum. And then when you sign in with Ethereum, that _app.tsx login redirect is going to trigger. You'll be bounced back to the homepage where you'll be signed in with GitHub, and you'll be signed in with Ethereum or your wallet. It's not really Ethereum, it's just the the name of the standard. So next step for us is we want to sign users in with GitHub, and to do that we're going to have to create an Auth app in GitHub. We're going to then set up NextAuth, and we'll configure the NextAuth with GitHub, and we'll add the button that says you need to sign in with GitHub first, and then based on that, we'll show the second button. So let's go ahead and check out the NextAuth docs for GitHub here. Maybe let's go getting started. GitHub, oh, nice. The example is GitHub. Okay, so this follows a really similar pattern. So to add NextAuth to a project, create a file called this in pages/API/auth. And this is why I thought it was going to conflict, and we'll see, because these are two catch-all API routes, which doesn't make sense, right? You can't have both of them catching all. Yeah, so you cannot use different select names for the same dynamic path. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to say /auth URL is /auth. Let's change this from auth to be, what should we call it? Let's call it /thirdweb. Yeah, /thirdweb. Let's do that. It doesn't really make sense. It's like signing with Ethereum, thirdweb auth. Let's call it thirdweb auth. All right, so let's rename this to be thirdweb auth. Let's move our thirdweb into that. So now we have two separate catch-alls. We have @API/auth/anything, which is our NextAuth catch-all API route. And then instead of auth, which is the default value, I guess, or at least it's the value that we set, is now API/thirdweb auth, and that will capture the login, the get user, and the logout API routes I was talking about and showing them in the source code earlier. So let's change. I think that should work, right? Let's see if it does. Let's go back to localhost 3000. If we go to login here, /login, we should just be able to substitute that name. That looks good. Cool. All right, so that looks like it works. It's not complaining about the clashing slug routes anymore. And then in NextAuth, what we can do is we'll just copy and paste this stuff. All requests to /API/auth will automatically be handled. Okay, so it's a really similar pattern. And we'll need to obviously install NextAuth. Let's go ahead and use yarn, copy that. And we'll add NextAuth as the package. And what I believe we need to do is for the providers, hopefully it has docs to set it up, documentation, and we'll pass the client as well. So we've got GitHub ID and GitHub secret. Okay. So what we'll do is we will support the standard authorization. Users redirected. Users are redirected by GitHub. Okay, whatever. Let's set up, I think I actually know how to do this without the docs. If we just go to GitHub and we go to settings, should be able to go to developer settings somewhere here. Developer settings. I thought it was in here. Developer. Okay, maybe I don't know how to do it. Oh, here it is. Yep, down the bottom. And OAuth apps. Here it is. I've done this a couple times. So new OAuth app. Let's call it. What are we doing? What are we doing over here? We're doing contributor NFTs. Homepage URL is just localhost HTTP, I guess. Localhost 3000. Just copy paste that in. Let's zoom in a little bit. This application description. I don't know what I'm doing. Authorization callback URL is what? Only allows one callback URL. Email is always returned. GitHub returns a field on account, whatever. What's the callback URL here? If we go back to getting started, clean the example app, follow the instructions in the README. Okay, hopefully this tells me what the hell I'm doing. Configure authentication providers. When setting up in the developer admin page for each of your OAuth services, you should configure callback URL to use the callback path of server/API/auth/callback/provider. I'm pretty sure the server is just, oh yeah, localhost 3000. Okay, nice. So let's change this to be localhost/API/auth/callback/GitHub and register this application. We'll need to generate a new client secret. Are you fucking serious? Okay. Whip out my phone real quick. Get up the GitHub app here. Let's see. Yep, looks good to me. Alrighty, so now we have our client ID. Let's go ahead and chuck those in as process.env.github ID. So we'll need to open up .env.local here. We'll say GitHub ID. So equal to that. GitHub, what was it? Secret. GitHub secret. Whoops. GitHub secret is equal to this. Copy that. And I will need to blur those out, or at least delete this project after I publish it. And all right, so now we're set up. Typescript is complaining because these need to be strings, as string, whatever. I don't want any more providers. I don't want that. Cool. Okay, so this actually might work. If we go back to the getting started, I guess it doesn't tell you, it just has the code pages. Oh man, there's a lot of pages. Index. That's not very helpful. Well, API is what I want, I guess. Auth, nope. Examples. Protected. Unstable get server session. What? Really? That's what it's called? When was this updated? 7th of July. It's not long ago. Why the fuck is it called get? What? There's no way that's what it is. Seriously? Unstable get server session. Why is it called that? All right, I guess we need to read the docs. What? Install API route, front end, add React hook, use session, use sign out. All right, that's what I'm interested in. Use session, use sign out, blah, blah, blah. So on the login page, we'll say import that stuff from the NextAuth/React, sure. We'll have sign in. Okay, so deconstruct this data from use session. Use session. What else do we have? Status. I don't know what that is, but anyway, use session. And then if session. So I want to say if session. What do I want to say? I want to say if there is a session, then show the sign in with Ethereum. And I also want use user. Actually, we don't really need that because you get bounced to the index page when you sign in. Let's just leave it as is. So we can say if session, then that. So if not session, show what we have here. Otherwise, show what we have here. Get rid of these comments. All right. Whoops. Okay. Doesn't look happy with us. So we need something here. So we'll say, have a button that says sign in. Copy that in. So now we have sign in with GitHub. Let's try it out. Is it actually already running? Yes. All right, let's try it out. So localhost 3000. If we go to login, we should see use session must be wrapped in a session provider. Okay. Where's that thing gone? No, I lost it. History should be in the _app file. We just need to wrap it in the session provider. Session provider is session refetch interval. I don't know what that is, but let's go ahead and copy that. So I'm gonna wrap it in the thirdweb provider. Close that off. Import it from, where does it come from? NextAuth/React. Cool, looking good. And if we, I'm just gonna close GitHub. Discord's annoying me. If we go back to login here, we have a sign in button, which signs in with GitHub. Oh man, that looks terrible. Sign in with GitHub. Contribute NFTs by Jared Watts once you access your Jared Watts account. Yep. You're being redirected. Looks good. And from here, I've just got about 14 emails saying my GitHub account's been accessed. That's fine. From here, we can actually access a session. Okay, so console log session. What do we have from that user? It's probably going to expose my email. Yep. Damn it. And we have the email name image. All right. Looking good. So now I just need that on the server side rather than the client side. So how do I do that? Backend API route. That's really what it's called. Okay. That's like, this is an experimental and maybe removed or changed. We recommend using this function instead of get session. This method is especially useful when you're using NextAuth with a database. This method can drastically reduce the response time when used over get session server side due to avoiding an extra fetch to an API route. Okay, whatever. Sounds good. All right, this looks pretty good. Auth options is not something that I have, or it told me to do, so I don't know what the hell that is. I'm just gonna pretend that doesn't exist. Copy unstable get server session here inside our API route. Unstable get server session. Const session is equal to unstable get server session with auth options. And what are the options you can pass? Oh man, providers. Do I have a file? I thought I did. No, I don't. Providers. That's so annoying. Whatever, I'll pass that. Providers. I have no idea what I'm doing. Providers. Import GitHub provider from GitHub, I guess. Await. So this needs to be async. To do, I'm just gonna pretend that doesn't exist. Oh, we can keep it there. Just comment it out. Res next API response. Alrighty, and this looks good. So if I console log session, do I have that user on the server side? This is /API/claim NFTs, claim NFT. If I go to localhost 3000, I go /API/claim NFT, check the logs here. We have the session. Okay, so now the next step is, well, actually, where's the API gone? Claim NFT. So this is validating the GitHub. So session validates GitHub account, I guess. And then, so that's step 2. Step 1, I'm going to rename that to step 1. Step 2 is verify the user using thirdweb Auth. And the way you do that is in the server side, you can call, pretty sure it's get user as well. Get user. Yep, get user. Pass in the context.request. In our case, that would just be request. So get user, pass in the request. We'll need to import the user from auth config. Okay. I think I deleted that file because I couldn't figure out my private key. Crap. All right. Let's maybe add that back in. Yeah, let's do that because I made a mistake. Let's export that. Go back, create this file again, auth.config.ts. Do that. Yep. Import, please. Import, const, yada, yada, yada. And we need get user from here as well. And export default thirdweb auth handler. That means in here, what do I do in here again? Thirdweb auth handler, let's go check it out. API/auth, what do we do? So just import it and then export it. Thirdweb auth handler from auth.config, export defaults, thirdweb. I think we're exporting it incorrectly here. So let's take a look at what I did in this file. Just copy paste this. So this is auth.config.ts, your details, I don't have that. My domain name is example.org. Don't need this or logic. I'm just gonna cast this because I do actually have the right env.local file here. Oh, fuck, I just showed it again. I need to blur it. Okay, that looks good. And then from claim NFT, now we can actually import that /auth/config, which will now be /auth config. Okay, so we have the get user, and what that does is in the auth config file, we're exporting the thirdweb auth handler, which we're using as the export in our catch all thirdweb auth /thirdweb catch all API handler here. So this catches the login, the logout, the get user, and it's the same pattern with the NextAuth. This catches sign in, sign out, whatever the things it said in the NextAuth documentation were. It's a really similar pattern. We're just passing it to the underlying SDK. In our case, the thirdweb SDK handles all of it. In NextAuth's case, the NextAuth SDK or package handles it all. And we just pass in the config required. So we're passing in our auth config, which is our private key in our case. Whereas NextAuth, we pass in the GitHub and the GitHub ID and the GitHub secret, just as a config specific to our application. And now we can do a similar thing as unstable get server session. We're calling get user, which is a much nicer name, from auth config, which actually exports the function from the SDK with our config passed into it. So this will pass us the user's address, the authenticated user's address. All right. So if I hit that endpoint, what's it called? API/claim-NFT. Take a look at our console here. Doesn't look too happy, does it? All right, this doesn't look good. Where's my user? Oh, it's not passing my private key. Okay. I think I changed the name. Yeah, it's just private key. All right, let's go back to our config file here. Private key, not thirdweb auth private key. Restart. Now this should work. Yep, so we have my GitHub account. We also have my address. So this is the authenticated address. We take a look at what this actually does in the /auth/source. Try and open that up. This actually, if I can find it, get user here. So this is what we're calling. It says user token reads the token that we get made for us under the hood when we sign that message. Maybe I'll show that as well. So in the next, we have routes. When we call login, it authenticates the message is legitimate and then generates a token for us, stores that token as a cookie. So it says set cookie, the web auth token with the path, HTTP, whatever, redirect to the URL that we specify in the thirdweb provider. And the user route here takes in all the same stuff, request, response, and context, gets the domain, the SDK out of the context, reads the cookie value. If there is that cookie value, authenticate it, make sure it is a valid cookie according to who we're trying to claim to be or what we, I guess, how do I explain that? We're authenticating that cookie is legitimate and the address is who they claim to be. So if that cookie is legitimate, if that token is legit, you are the user you claim to be, we can safely assume that the address is the authenticated address and this person that is trying to call this API route does own that address or that wallet. And then from there, we can safely say on our claim NFT API route now, we have the session with the GitHub user, and we have the user with the wallet address that the user authenticated with. So maybe let's say const thirdweb user and console log that. So this is verify the user using thirdweb auth. Let's maybe not console log this, so we have it already, and check if they have contributed. So I'm hoping GitHub Copilot knows how to do this because I really don't want to go through those docs. So let's say make a fetch request to the GitHub API to get the contributors. Please, let's do it. Check if the user is in the contribution list. Go gadget. Contributors. Await it will fetch. Yes, please say that's a real thing. Oh my goodness, if this works, I'll be insanely happy. Console log contributors. All right, let's see. This would be insane if it actually just did that. It's taking its time. We can actually just check ourselves. Open that up. It is. Wow. Holy, that's insane. All right, so you can see we got Jonas, Joaquim, Adam, me. Let's go. All right, so we have the login, we have the ID. What do I have in this user here? So we have user name, email. Oof, maybe email is not there. Name is also not there. That sucks. There's nothing we can match up with. How does the username not get passed back? That's insane. All right, maybe we can pass the username back. Let's close this for now. I actually can't believe that GitHub Copilot could do that. That's crazy. All right, so we have contributors in an array now, and let's cast this as, we should have kept that open. What do we have here? Do I still have it open? Damn, all right. Here we go. So we have login, ID, node, avatar, blah, 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 blah. I want the login. I think either login or ID is the kind of unique identifier, right? And then I need that available in this session. And maybe we can do it in here where we can say something like, I need the user ID as well. I need the user ID from GitHub account to be able to call the cont. That's not what I want, but please. I'm just gonna say please GitHub Copilot, do your thing. Let's see. What can we actually do? I think callbacks. I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea. All right, let's check out the docs. NextAuth docs, documentation, configuration. Maybe let's Google this one. How to get GitHub user ID NextAuth. How to get user ID on API endpoints while using NextAuth. Concession, that's not it. Maybe related to 535. This looks what I want. Callback session. If you want to make something available, you added to the token through the jot callback. You have to explicitly, which is spelled wrong, forward it here, make it available to the client. I think I actually did something similar in the community rewards. Community rewards. Take a look at pages. API, Auth, NextAuth, yep. Callbacks, JWT, well, whatever, this looks good. Callbacks, async sessions, session token, user. What did this guy have? He had session.id is equal to user.id. Session.id is equal to user.id. We can return the session here. All right, let's try that out. Localhost / login. Killed my server on accident. Whoops. Yarn dev. Let's close that. So now if we sign in, the ID of the user should be associated with the session that gets returned by NextAuth, and then we can access the user ID inside the session here, and we can say based on the ID. Yep, sounds good. Maybe let's console.log the session again. Session.id. Sign in with GitHub. Yep. Localhost / login didn't work. What? Oh man. Cannot read properties, reading ID. That's not what I wanted to see. Really? All right. Let's console log token, console.log user. Let's try again. Sub. Is that what I want? Sub. Let's take a look at this URL again. Sub. Where am I? ID is 356514110. 356514110. Okay, so it's not ID. It is, in fact, shit, what is that? User. Is that the user or the token? User.sub, let's say, instead of ID. I'm not sure if it's user or token. Sign in to GitHub. Completely died. Token.sub. Try that. Sign in to GitHub. Undefined. I don't even know what it's console logging. All right, so now we have the ID. So I was on token. So token ID contains my ID, I guess. I hope that's right. And the ID is called sub for some reason. I don't know what that stands for, but anyway, now we have the ID on the session. So we can use that when we sign in with Ethereum here. Let's sign in. We bounce back to the home page where we see hello right now, but we'll see a button that says claim an NFT. We'll then see we'll click that button. We'll make an API request to this claim NFT endpoint. We will then be able to access the GitHub session, which now has the user's ID, or the token ID apparently, of that token.sub associated with the thing. So we can actually console.log session.id. Then verify the user using thirdweb auth. So this is the authenticated wallet address within, I think this just returns a string. Nope, thirdweb.address, okay. So we can access the user's address. And from here, we can call we need to make the check here. So check if they have contributed, make a fetch request to the GitHub API to get the contributors, check if they are in the contributors list. Let's say const has contributed is equal to, I don't think I want sum, I want index of contributors. What does sum do? I actually don't know what that does. Well, that's not that helpful. As string, it's not string array. What we'll do is we can click this, copy mine into a type. I don't know if this is a really janky way to do it, but this is what I'm going to do. And what we'll do is we'll make a folder called types and GitHub hub contributor.ts export. We'll say type GitHub contributor equals this. Paste this in. Get rid of that. We'll do this. We'll then delete. Control click, delete. And from here, we can say, ooh, this is going to be interesting. We can say with regex matching, what we can do is, if I know how to do it, we can say regex string, open bracket, select anything, string, replace it with string, right? String. Okay, nice. And then contributions is a number, ID is a number, and we have ourselves a export default GitHub contributor. Now we have ourselves a type with all of the types that come back. So we can say as GitHub contributor array, and it's not happy with us because promise any. All right, contributors, bam. And we don't have to cast it. So then we have contributors. Now GitHub Copilot will be able to help us out a bit more. Contributors.sum, what does that do? Determines whether the specified callback function returns true for any element. That is very good. That's exactly what I want. Return contributor.login, that's not what I want. Return contributor.id is equal to thirdweb.user, is equal to session.user. No, it's just session.id. Yep, that looks good. Session, let's just say if not session, do some stuff, unauthorized. Sure, sounds good. And then we'll do a similar thing. Let's put this above here and say if or not thirdweb user, then we'll return unauthorized. And then we don't have to deal with the crappy question marks down here anymore. Return session.id as well. That's not what I want. I don't know why I would want to cast it as any. This is a Boolean, so has contributed is true or false if we find the user's GitHub account ID in the array of objects filtered down to the contributor.id field here. So we search through the array of objects for the currently connected GitHub accounts ID that we have available through this callback here where we attach the token.sub, which is the user's ID, to the session and compare all of the elements of this contributors to the session ID. All right, so based on the ID, let's move that comment up, get rid of contributors here. If they have, call the mint additional supply. So here's all we need to connect to the thirdweb SDK, which we're going to do if we take a look at the docs. Take a look, Web3 SDK. So setting up backend applications, excuse me, JavaScript, this is what I'm looking for. So we import from thirdweb SDK. We say from private key. And as I said before, this is not best practice. What I'm about to do is use environment variables, and please learn more from this page where you can use secret managers. What I'm doing, again, is not best practice and is more vulnerable to attacks. So if you do care about your private key and the private key gives full access to your wallet, please do not follow what I'm about to do, but instead follow what it tells you to do on this page here. This is just a disclaimer. I don't want you to, feel as what I'm doing is best practice, because it's not, at least in this one specific thing that I'm about to do. So let's say const SDK is equal to thirdweb SDK.from private key. So we have the SDK, and our private key is process.m.private. Whoa, how did that know? That's interesting. Private key, and as string. Then we say Goerli, the right network. And we then say if, well, let's return here first. Say if not has contributed. It's not 401. I actually can't remember what I want. Let's just ask Copilot, say you return a message saying I haven't contributed. Sorry. You haven't. You don't qualify, I guess, whatever. Doesn't need to be that detailed. You don't qualify, return. Yep. All right, now down here, we assume they have authenticated with both the GitHub as well as thirdweb, sign in with Ethereum. We're connected to the private key, the SDK using our private key, and they have contributed, so contributed is true. We're ready to mint the additional supply to them. So let's say if they haven't, call the mint additional supply. Let's move that comment down here. So it's going to be, we need to connect to our const addition is equal to use. Let's go back to index, should be here. Use addition, and it can't be use addition. It's SDK.get addition with the contract address in here. Let's get rid of that. Contract address in there. Yep, looks good. Addition is equal to SDK.get addition. Is this async? It is not. And if they have, then call mint additional supply. So addition.mint additional supply to, first parameter is the address. So thirdweb user dot address. Token ID is, well, it's token ID 0, right? The first one that we minted is token ID 0. Try and show that. Yep, so token ID 0 is this purple star, the contributor NFT. So let's pass 0 as the token ID. Additional supply is, we just want to mint them 1. Let's also, well, that's it. That's it. All the metadata is already there. So those are the 3 arguments. Let's maybe check to say if you don't, or if you already have one, you can't mint again. If you already have one, you can't mint again. All right, so what I'll do is addition the balance of thirdweb.user.address token ID 0. So const balanced is equal to that. Await that. I'm pretty sure that's async. Yep. Balance if balance is dot greater than 0. I think that's how you do it. You already have an NFT. Yep, looks good. All right, so then we've checked everything. You can't mint another one. And maybe we can make these non-transferable. That would be cool. Non-transferable. I think that's possible. Events, permissions, transfer. Let's make them non-transferable. So this will make them soulbound. So if you've claimed one, you can't just transfer it to another wallet and then claim it again and transfer it back. So you have like 20 NFTs at once. So you can't transfer them. Let's make them non-transferable and update those permissions. Tokens in this contract are non-transferable. Yep, looks good. We'll just improve that in the background. So addition.mint additional supply to the address that made this request of token ID 0 of quantity 1. And that's it, really, right? That's the final statement. That's after you've checked everything, you haven't got the balance, then finally make that call to mint that supply to the user. And then let's await that. Await const tx is equal to await. And then we'll say console.log that transaction, maybe that would be cool. And this is actually minting from our wallet, so we'll be paying the gas, which is fine. And res.status. What do we want to do here? res.status.json NFT minted. Cool. All right. And then on the index.tsx page, what we can do is we'll say async function mint NFT is equal to addition.mint, fetch / API / claim NFT. Yep. I don't think that's going to work. Const data? I don't know why it did that. Const, yeah, let's just call it const rec is equal to await fetch method post. Yep. Headers. Yep. Looks good. Body. Don't think we need a body. All right, that looks good. I don't think we need to pass anything since all of the information needs to be available from the login page. So the user will need to log in before they can access this page, and we'll add that in the get server-side props. I'm going to fix up my posture in the get server-side props, and they won't be allowed to access this page unless they've already authenticated with GitHub and signing with Ethereum. So they won't reach this page unless they are already authenticated and ready to claim. So then let's say const res, so go to await request.json, console.log res, and that returns a message. So maybe let's say res.message, yep. And then we need a button that calls this. This is a button on click, mint NFT. Whoops, mint NFT, and this button is mint NFT as a text. And maybe let's test that out before we do the get server-side props stuff. Localhost 3000, mint the NFT, completely broke, nice. Object unauthorized, I don't know why. /login, sign in with GitHub, sign in with Ethereum, sign, mint NFT, unauthorized. What is going on here? What the hell? That's interesting. Decryption operation failed. What? Where? Claim NFT 22. That's not where it really is. Unstable get service session, process.m.github ID, GitHub secret, GitHub ID, GitHub secret, private key. Why does that not work? All right, console.log session. Let's try this again. Something about the NextAuth is not working. The user comes back, so this is fine. If I go to the home page, nothing's dead just yet. Claim NFT. Mint NFT calls that, and it says decryption operation failed. What in the world? JWT session error. The key, what the heck? Let's Google this. Decryption operation failed, NextAuth. I have the blah, blah, blah. What now? Token user account profile is new user. Yep. We have removed some of the configuration options. I don't know what that means. All right, that was not that helpful. Decryption operation failed. Resolve NextAuth decryption failed. What the fuck? No. What the hell kind of scam shit is that? I'm using this code, blah, 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 blah. Just had to add a secret to make it work. Really? A secret. What the hell? A random string used to hash token sign cookies and generate cryptographic keys. If not specified, it falls back to JWT secret or NextAuth secret from environment variables. Otherwise, it will use a hash of all configuration options. So, secret, NextAuth secret. I think I remember something about this. If we take a look at community rewards, /community rewards, I think there's a command. Whoops, wrong one. Search from here. Community rewards. Community rewards. Here we go. Down the bottom, I remember I had to do something like this. Yeah, this random little thing here. So if we run this, whoops, that's not what I wanted. If we run this, you can see, paste that in to, this is not the right repo, but whatever. Paste that in. This generates a hash value, and we can remove that. We can add it as an environment variable. It's called NextAuth secret equals that. Restart the server. Pretty sure that's what it's called, right? NextAuth secret. Secret. NextAuth secret. That's what I called it. Yep. Alrighty. Logo is 3000. Here we come. Nope. Need to log in. /login. So let's sign in with GitHub. Boom. Sign in with Ethereum. Boom. Mint NFT. Sorry, you don't qualify. Really? I don't believe you. No, now the thing is not on there. That's annoying. What? The ID is not on the session. Really? How? It's really weird. Console log session on the on the login page here. We have the ID. So where is the what? Console.log session, and it doesn't have the ID. Unstable get server session. Seriously. What? Well, I don't qualify because my ID is undefined, so it's like, obviously. But why is my session not there? I mean, my ID not in the session. Ugh. Get server session. Maybe I actually think I know why, because this is the oh, no, I don't. That's a session. Maybe we need the other callback. In my example, I had the callback that had too many tabs open now. Community rewards, NextAuth. I had it in here where I had JWT as well as session. So in the JOD, we had token. That's not what I want though. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Session. Yeah, it's working on the client side, but it's not working on the server side. Unstable to get server session. Requires passing the same object you would pass to NextAuth when initializing NextAuth. To do so, you can export your NextAuth JS options in the following way. Okay. That is pretty annoying. Let's do that. Yeah, I think that's actually why. All right, so export const auth options NextAuth options equals bam. Then pass it in here, auth options, then export default NextAuth. I think that's fine. Then from here, we don't pass this anymore. We just import NextAuth what do we call it? NextAuth options, auth options. Should just be auth options here. Import that from you. Then we should get the ID since that's what we configured. Mint NFT. I don't believe you. Mint NFT. Please, 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 please. Okay, the ID is there now. What's the message? You don't qualify. So I'm reading here. Hasn't contributed. What does this do? Determines whether the specified callback function returns true for any element if contributor.id is equal to session.id. Session.id. Yeah, that looks good. What's contributors here? Console.log contributors. Maybe it's a typing issue. contributor.id is number, session.id is unknown, and it's a string. Yeah, that's why. So .toString this. So if contributors has contributed, this should work now. Mint NFT, type matches up. Stuff's happening, I guess. I think. Probably should add a loading button. Loading, yeah. Flag, maybe. Taking its sweet time. Actually, it's processing the thing on the blockchain, so it's going to wait till that gets confirmed. And this is why it's taking so long. Definitely need a loading flag. Maybe let's do that while that loads. Const is loading. Set is loading. Looks like it did go through. So receipt to OX5, which is my testing account, I believe. The message received, NFT minted. Looks good. I'm OXB37. So to what? Who is that? Who's OX50? Okay, let's go ahead. Look at the dashboard. Dashboard, it's open in another tab. Too many of these open. Dashboard here. Explorer, NFTs. So I'm OX. Okay, so OX50 is the contract address. So there's a supply of 1 now. The question is, do I own it? To the contract address from. I would expect these values to be reversed. Let's check it on the UI here. So we're going to say const data is equal to use NFTs. Pass in the addition here. Pass in my address. I think that's available in user.address, user.address, use NFTs. I think we need to specify a third one, which is token ID. Contract query params. Use addition, use NFTs addition. Oh, I want use owned NFTs, sorry. Use owned NFTs addition, own a wallet address. All right, let's see. User.address, console.log data. Look, it's 3000 again. Undefined, undefined, undefined. It comes back. Owner is OXB371D, which is me, right? Yes. Okay, so I own the NFT, and if we claim again, I should get rejected because I already have one. Yep, you already have an NFT. Nice. Very, very nice. All right. So let's maybe add a loading flag to say const loading. Loading is loading is equal to use state false. Let's type this as Boolean. Need to import use state here. Let's get rid of that conflicting name. We don't need that anymore. Kill those imports. So is loading. Let's set is loading. Oh, that's not how you do React state. Set loading. I don't know why I did that. Set loading to true. Try this, maybe try do all this. Catch error. Log error. Yep, finally. Set loading is false. Close that off. All right, that looks good to me. Mint NFT. Let's change this to say something like, yep, that's exactly what I wanted. So you already have an NFT. We click it, claim NFT, it goes to loading. Let's say disabled is true while it's loading. Yep, you already have an NFT. That looks very nice. All right. What else do we want to do? We wanted to add get server-side props. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's get the get server-side props docs. Get server-side props, data fetching, server-side rendering. I actually just want the TypeScript. Typescript, Next.js. Should be here somewhere. Get server-side props. Here we go. So within here, we'll import that, sure. Get server-side props. What we want to do is get user, both NextAuth and thirdweb. Yep. So const const thirdweb user is equal to, I think we can use get user, yeah. Get how do we do this? I will take a look at NFT Gate website example. So we do the same thing and get server-side props on the home page in this example here. So we have get user imported from, of course, imported from the actual config file. All right, so thirdweb is equal to get user, there we go. And passing the context.request here. Get next session, consts, and how do we do that again? It's on NextAuth here. We have, sorry, it's in claim NFT. We use that weird function called const session. Yep, this one. Const session, blah, blah, blah. Seems good. From next, where is that? From NextAuth/next. Let's just copy that import, paste it up here. Maybe let's split this. So we're gonna have the imports up the top. So we have rec, res, and auth options. So context.rec, context.res, res, and auth options we need to import from that file. Yep, looks good. So now we have session and thirdweb user. We can basically say if, let's bring this into center a little bit. If either not thirdweb user, redirect to the login. Yep, that's what I want. Should be, that does not look correct. Now return res. How do you do this? Redirect Next.js. Yep. I'm just gonna search res. I know there's a better way to do it. I think I do it in here actually. Okay, return redirect. Let's copy this. Return redirect with an object. So return. Yeah, this looks fine. Return an object. Okay. Redirect / login permanent is false. Yep. Otherwise, you can just return empty props. Because we don't have any data that we need to fetch. We just need to make sure they're authenticated on both fronts before we show them the login page. So now if I go localhost, I can visit the home page if I'm authenticated, but if I go incognito, if I could spell, this will bounce me to the login page until I'm authenticated, which is exactly what we want. Now, the final thing is the claim NFT API route is actually making us, the admin wallet, pay for the gas to mint the NFT to the user. Now, this is fine. This is actually somewhat desired depending on the user experience you want. Maybe you want to pay for the gas for this user, but we can change this to be the stuff that we initially planned on using with the signature minting. So rather than us just minting it and transferring it, which works fine, we can use that initial I don't know if we have that diagram open. I have way too many tabs. This one, we can actually say generate signature like we initially planned, generate signature, and use signature to mint. And the difference is that we're not paying for the gas anymore. We're not performing that transaction. We're just generating the signature that the client or the connected wallet on the client can use to mint the NFT based on the signature that we generate. So just to sort of demonstrate both options, let's go ahead and change, modify, refactor this code a little bit to say, let's use signature-based minting rather than just this mint additional supply. And the way that we can do that is we can, rather than passing a success message, we'll pass back some JSON containing a signature that can be kind of consumed or used by the wallet on the client that allows them to mint the NFT from their wallet, and that makes them pay for the gas for the transaction. So it's kind of just like two different ways of doing it and achieving the same thing effectively. I think the signature minting might be a little more user-friendly, like you're approving a transaction to claim. It's probably more familiar rather than just being sent the NFT, but some websites do. The web has done a number of gasless transactions where you don't pay for the gas, but you still sign a transaction. And that's another way you could do it. But let's go ahead and modify this to use signature-based minting. So to do that, what we can do is instead of mint additional supply to, we can call .signature.generate from token ID. And this says generate a signature that can be used to mint additional supply to an existing NFT, which is pretty much what we were doing. But this time it's not just doing it straight away, it's generating a signature that can be utilized to do that. So let's call that. Let's see the parameters here. So we have payload to sign, which is what we'll return to the client so that they can use and approve or confirm the transaction. So we have quantity is 1. We'll have token ID is 0. Currency address, we don't need to pass any of this, but we are going to pass one of the optional parameters, which is the 2. And this is going to be to the address. So we want to make sure that this is only claimable by the currently authenticated address and can't be kind of hijacked by someone before the connected wallet address is able to claim it. So only the user that we've authenticated and made sure that they have contributed on GitHub is able to claim this address, this NFT, sorry. So those are the 3 parameters that we're going to pass. We could actually pass in a price here, which is interesting. So we could pass in like, I don't know, 1 ETH, but this application is trying to be a reward, so it doesn't really make sense to make users pay for it here. And instead of just saying message NFT minted here, we can pass back, this is no longer a transaction either, it's a signed payload. You can see the type here is signed payload 1155, which is ERC1155, and we can access, signed payload dot payload, or the signature, which is what we're going to pass in to, it's what we're going to use on the client to claim the NFT. So let's pass back this signed payload here, and we'll return JSON signed payload. And on the index.tsx page here, we then get back the res here. We have the signed payload. So we'll say console.log res. And I think if we just quickly do this, let's see what happens. Return, and we'll also console log on the client. Let's see console.log signed payload. Let's open that up. And let's see what this looks like on the server. Claim NFT. It's actually not even going to reach that because we have, let's just comment this out quickly just so we can test it. Claim NFT. I already have one. I already know that. Oh, that was not what I wanted to comment out. Let's just comment out this whole block. Claim NFT. So it skips that check that we only have one token. Sorry, I can't speak. If we have a balance less than 1. And as you can see here, we have the payload and the signature. So we can use this to claim the NFT rather than just have it minted to us. So on the client here, what we're going to do is, this is the res here. So we can deconstruct payload. Actually, I'm not sure which one you pass in. Payload and signature. Let's see. It'll yell at us because we're using TypeScript. So say use the payload to mint the NFT. And we can do that by saying await const transaction is equal to await edition.signature.mint. And you just pass in the whole thing. Okay, so that's interesting. What we'll do is modify this a little bit so we don't just return the object. We'll return this within an object. So that way we can access the field called signed payload. And we'll destructure the field called signed payload out of the response, pass that whole thing in. I'll probably have to cast this, I think. Yeah, I guess it doesn't complain. It doesn't look like. So we can use that. And then what we can do after that is we'll alert tx.receipt. Let's just say successfully minted NFT rocket emoji. Give me that. Come on. Rocket emoji. Boom. Let's go. All right, sweet. So transaction is hopefully approved. We don't really need to return anything. We alert if that is successful. So now we claim the NFT. The server side is now generating a signature, sending that back to us so that we can utilize it on the client to kind of consume that. This action requires a connected wallet. Ooh, that's a problem. That is a problem. We need to connect our wallet address. As silly as that sounds, we don't have this signer since we have authenticated, but we haven't connected to the website. So we can say const connect is equal to use MetaMask. And if we haven't connected, so if there's no detected address from the use address hook, which just grabs a connected wallet address, or undefined if there isn't one. So here we can say if there's, we can just do a ternary operator on the address, I believe. So address, bam, bam. So if there is an address, then we can show the claim NFT button. However, if there isn't, we'll show connect wallet button. So this is going to say connect to MetaMask. It's not happy with me for some reason. This one here, connect. So if we refresh, that's not what I expected. If there is an address, okay, I've got this the wrong way around. If there is not an address, then show connect with MetaMask. That would normally prompt you. I've already connected to localhost 3000 before, so it doesn't prompt me in MetaMask. And then now we have the connected signer with the SDK, which was asking for us, complaining that we didn't have a connected signer. And the way that the React SDK works is it tries to look for a connected wallet address and grab the signer from that automatically. So now you can see that the signature gets generated on the back end, and this time rather than just minting to us, it prompts us to accept this mint with signature transaction, which we're consuming the signature that the admin wallet generated for us and sent back to the client. So we'll go ahead and confirm this. We should see the same effect, but this is just a little bit of a difference in implementation where I'm now paying for the gas and approving the transaction rather than the admin wallet and the private key setup on the server minting that NFT directly to our wallet. So this way, the user is paying the gas rather than the admin wallet for the minting of that NFT. So it's kind of the same thing, but I did just want to show that quickly, as I know I rambled on about signature-based minting at the start for a little while, and then I changed my mind. I wasn't going to use it, but I changed my mind again to sort of say this is the two different ways you could do it, and you could use gasless transactions, which is another way that allows the admin wallet to pay for the transactions on behalf of the user, but it depends on the kind of user experience that you want to have for your users. So as you can see, we have successfully minted the NFT based on that mint with signature transaction. And now we have a total supply of 2, and obviously my wallet address is the owner of both of those. So if we add the check back here in our index.tsx, in the claim NFT, Let's just uncomment that balance 0 check. Now, if we try and claim again, it won't generate that signature and send it back to us, and we won't be allowed. Cannot read properties undefined of payload. All right, let's take a look here. Cannot read properties undefined of payload. I think we just need an alert of the error. Failed to mint. Ooh. Can we get the, let's change the way this looks. Res equals that, and we'll do res.sign payload. And if that fails, or if res, what's the best way to do this? So we have res.status would be 401 if the transaction fails, and it would be 200 if it succeeds. So we could just say like, if res, oh, you can actually do res.error, really? I think you can do res, why is this any? I wish I had a type. Res dot, well, let's just ask Copilot. If res dot status is okay, is not okay. That's not what I wanted. Let's console log res and just take a look at what we have available to work with. Claim NFT. Yep. Oh, I didn't reach that. Let's comment this out quickly. Claim NFT. We should be able to see the res here. So sign payload. Wait, that was what I wanted. Sorry. So this should be uncommented, and we fail, and we say failed to mint NFT. How does that get reached? Okay, so here's the, yeah, this is what I wanted. But I'm more interested in the request, not the response, right? So request, let's console log request here. See what we're working with. Yeah, so here's what I wanted. Response. Status 401, okay is false. So if we say if rec dot okay, so that will mean it was a 200 response, which means it was successful. If rec.ok, then we'll continue with this block. Maybe we should reverse that. So if not request okay, then we'll say, there should be a message here. So we'll say alert error or request dot, we still want to deconstruct it, and we'll say alert error res.message. And I'm doing this wrong apparently. Error, this maybe string thingy, I don't know what it's called. Res.message. Return here. So this will cancel out of the function. If the request is not okay, then we'll say, I'll just get rid of these, make it a bit more clear. Use the payload to mint the NFT. I think we can still deconstruct it once, duplicating a little bit of code here. This should work. So we have deconstruct the request JSON. If the request is not okay, which means it failed for whatever reason, then we'll show an address, the alert with the message and return, so it doesn't attempt to mint with a broken response. So if I claim, it should just show us an alert saying you've already claimed, you already have an NFT, whatever, and it doesn't just like break the whole thing. But if we comment that out, now we should see claim NFT. We should still proceed with the usage of that signature. Yep, looks good. And then once that transaction gets confirmed down On line 42 here, we should see the alert, successfully minted NFT, rocket ship. Probably delete that rocket emoji comment. And that looks good. That looks good. So now we kind of have this process where the admin wallet is still involved in controlling what's being minted into the collection, but the user is the one actually signing the transaction and paying the gas fees to mint that NFT. And if we take a quick look at the dashboard here, this looks good. I guess the final kind of thing that we could do is add some styles to the application. Yeah, I guess we can do that. So let's add a folder called styles. Let's add globals.css. Just bring the docs up for this. CSS modules, Next.js starter. What's it called? Create next app. I'll just take a look at how they do it. Templates, default, styles, globals, home. Let's just maybe go ahead and copy these. Pages, app will use it, index will use it. So globals looks like this. Globals, how do you copy? Copy globals.css, that's what I call it, right? Yep. I wonder if we can use inter, that would be cool. I don't know if that's the right way to do it or not, we'll see. Home.module.css. Whoops, paste that in here. This looks like I'm not going to be using any of it right now, but it's all right. And in the underscore app.js file, we can paste the global styles. Boom. Index, we can paste the home styles. And boom. All right, let's take a look. What does that change anything for us? Everything's dark now. That's interesting. I guess what we could do is just add like, I'm not actually using any of this, so we can just delete it. And then we can say, I don't know, we'll see what Copilot comes up with, I guess. Width 100, yep, looks good to me. So that's going to be container. And that can be our class name is equal to styles.container. This should maybe be height 100 VH, maybe. Let's do like 70 VH. Looks kind of goofy, but anyway. Main button. And let's ask for nice orange to pink gradient. Let's see how good at this. Okay, I like what I see. Border none. Color. I think that's probably going to be hard to see, but that's all right. Yep. Looks good. Main button. Get rid of that comment. And then on the index, we can have button, class name, styles.boom. Copy that. Boom. Nice. Yeah, that's really hard to read. Maybe the text color should be black. Color 000. Font weight 700. It looks terrible, but that's right. Maybe let's add some text to explain what's going on. H1 says GitHub contributor NFTs, and we'll have a p tag that says claim an NFT if you have contributed. This is interesting because we actually need to change the logic to check all of the repos rather than just one. So claim an NFT if you have contributed to any of thirdweb's repos. Thirdweb, apos, whatever the symbol is, I don't know. Apos. Claim an NFT if you have contributed. Is this inter? It looks like inter. Whoops. This is really big. Where's the styles tab? Here it is. Yeah, it is. Nice. That's really good. All right, GitHub contributor. I think it should be capital H. GitHub contributor NFTs. Claim an NFT if you have contributed. I really don't like this gradient. Let's get a nice little gradient generator. Let's get a random one. Is that possible? Nope. Yep, sure. Random. Oh, these look nice. Maybe, yeah, this one looks pretty cool. Let's get that happening. Where's the CSS gone? Yeah, whatever. Looks all right. FFF. Yeah, good enough. That's about the extent of my design skills. And then, yeah, that looks good. All right. The other thing I wanted to add was on the claim NFT API route, we check all of the repos. So let's say first get all the repos of the thirdweb dev organization. Get all of the public repos. That's not even close, by asking the GitHub API for the orgs repos. Nope. Const repos is equal to await fetch api.github/orgs. That is insane if that actually works. Oh my gosh, how is this possible? Thirdweb open ape. I have no idea what that is. Open ape? Pack protocol. And nifty swap. I don't know what these are. Is there like any ones that actually React? Blah, 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 blah. The web React. Come on, please. Take me to the next one. React. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so this looks real. I don't know what those random repos were. So now we have repos. And if we do our little trick to create a type again, types. Here we go. GitHub repo.ts. Type contributor. Let's just copy the format here. Type GitHub repo. Export. Paste our response in here. And there's probably a better way to do this, but this is just the hacky way that I do. Let's format this a little bit. Cool, looking good. Let's delete that. Go a word across, delete that. And from here, we can do our little regex match again. We can say if string catch anything between the strings, replace that with string. Replace. False is Boolean. ID is number. Why is there two IDs? Oh, that's the owner. I think I goofed here. Oh, there's a lot more. There's a lot more. Okay, I think I messed up. Well, let's copy this. We probably don't even need this, to be honest. It's like unnecessary, but that's so much stuff. Wow. All right. Let's do that. Let's bonk that. Go one across, bonk that. Do all of this stuff. Topics. Don't need that. Topics, array. String array. Get rid of this. permissions. And again, we probably don't need to do this, but that's just an interesting little way to do it. So all of these, let's just find replace false with Boolean, true with Boolean. We need to do our little thing here. All right, anything between strings is now a string. Replace, and we'll do this number, HTML URL, string, number. Whoops, number. I keep pressing the wrong button, I'm sorry. Number. All right, so why does it not like us? We have one too many object thingies. All right, that looks good. We have a 7 and a 3 here. That should be numbers. Number. All right, looking good. So that's a really big type for GitHub repo. Probably didn't even need to do that, but it's a little fun. Now what were we even doing? So we have all the repos, and this is a GitHub repo array. Save that. Repos is equal to that. And then we need the .then thingy here. .then res.json. So for each repo, check their contribution status. This is probably going to get rate limited, honestly. Excuse me. Repos for each. Check that. We'll have the has contributed. This is going to get messy. Has contributed. We could probably filter first because there's only a few that I actually care about. Filter, repo, and let's have const repos to check is equal to React. We'll do TypeScript SDK. We'll do CLI. The web CLI. We'll do contracts. We'll do Auth, I guess. Yeah, that could do. Auth. Storage. We'll do Go SDK. What else should we do? Do Python, of course. Python. Yeah, this is just so I don't get massively rate limited and I can't be bothered to like get API key or whatever I need to do. Has contributed equals false. This should be let. Repos to check. We could iterate over that now. Repos to check for each. Yep, that is what I want. Const has contributed. If has contributed. If has contributed equals true. Break out of the loop. Return. This looks completely wrong. Has contributed equals contributors dot blah 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 blah. Yep. This should all be indented. Curly bracket is not getting closed, doesn't look like. Okay, has contributed is const. Oh. Const has contributed to this repo. It's a terrible name, but anyway, if has contributed to this repo, has contributed equals true. So repos to check for each repo. This should not be React anymore. So this should check the current repo. Check the current repo name. Yeah, that's a string. Dot contributors has contributed to this repo. If yep, that looks good. All right, so now, yeah, that's gonna be hard to test. I think we can just trust ourselves that this works, right? If it doesn't completely break. Claim an NFT, loading. Sorry, you don't qualify. Okay, it doesn't work apparently. What? Contributors.sum is not a function. It's probably getting rate limited, I'm assuming. Console.log contributors. What? Console.log contributors. Let's just print the first one, I guess. 0. Claim NFT, so you don't qualify. That's very sad. What am I even console logging here? Contributors 0. So what is happening? Contributors sum. Maybe I got the repo name wrong. React TypeScript SDK. Let's console log the actual repo that I'm iterating on. So console.log repo. See which ones crash. Sorry, I don't qualify. Well. Contributors.sum is not a function. Not really sure what that means. Okay. Repos to check. Yep. I think I need to modify this logic, this loop. Yeah. What am I doing wrong here? Contributors. Some like async magic going on. Check the contribution status. Yeah, let's just do it this way. All const repo of repos to check. Paste that in here. Const contributors await has contributed. This is less efficient, I'm pretty sure, but that's all right. Let's just console log. I think we're just spelling one of the... Is it called Python? Is it called Python SDK? Oh, that's the wrong API. Yeah, that's why. It's Python SDK. Claim NFT. Nope. Still not. React contributors.sum is not a function. What? Console.log contributors. Yeah, API rate limited. That's annoying. Authenticated requests. I really can't be bothered to do that. I'm not gonna lie. So what's the limit?
5 minutes later.
A comprehensive tutorial. That sounds like what I need. Developer settings, create and set up a node. Why do I need a personal access token? nodemon cause, blah, blah, blah. GitHub access token. We've generated personal access token. Where do we store it? It's Görli. It's highly sensitive. You should not hard code any requests. You can also not store it in a file that is accessible. All right, let's do that. Let's just generate a personal one. Developer settings. Personal access tokens. Probably do this off screen. So a personal access token, generate a new token, use my app to authenticate myself here. All right, authenticated. What's this token for? I guess I can show this part. What's this token for? My NFT contributor thing. Whatever, expiration, no expiration. Let's say full control of private repos. That is definitely not what I want. Admin org, no, 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 no. Nope, 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 nope. Generate token. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Copy that. And then, what does he do? He says, this should work with the header, right? Yep, I think so. All right, I'm gonna add my access token off screen. GitHub access token equals bam. Close that off. Then back here, what I'm going to do is use my access token from .env.local headers. Yes, probably something like that. Then we can go to localhost 3000. I'll need to restart the thing out of the new environment variable. Go to localhost 3000. And what we'll do is we'll claim the NFT. Now I should have a much higher rate limit here. I don't think that's what I wanted. Return, that's definitely not what I wanted. I just wanted to break the loop. This is break, isn't it? Break, yeah, not return. Failed to mint NFT, that makes sense because it didn't come back with anything. Claim NFT. It's checking, it's generating. Nice, there we go. Okay, so it was just that simple. I thought we should make it from the client ID, the Auth app, but I'm not sure how to do that. So I just generated a personal access token. Apparently that increases your rate limit. And we'll go ahead and approve this. And this should be the conclusion of our application. Sweet, looks like that has gone through. Successfully minted NFT. Ooh. There we go. All right, so now we're checking a list of the repos that we actually care about rather than just one. That was a little bit of a pain to get working. Docs were not that helpful. I guess there's probably like a GitHub SDK that I should be using rather than typing the things myself. Probably doesn't make a lot of sense the way that I'm doing it, but I think it's like cleaner to just have these types and just make fetch requests. It makes a lot of sense to me. But there we go. All right, we'll get rid of this to do. I don't really care about returning the right data type. And that will be the conclusion of our application. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed building out the signature-based minting sort of membership NFT claim with certain off-chain criteria generated and using those signatures on the client to mint the NFTs on behalf of the connected wallet, who we've authenticated with Web2 Auth, with NextAuth using GitHub, as well as the sign-in with Ethereum standard using the new thirdweb Auth SDK. If you enjoyed this kind of content, I'm kind of experimenting with this format where it's literally just me sitting here typing and building out a project from scratch, and you get to see all of the blunders, all of me filtering through documentation, how I work in general, just using Copilot, using the documentation and just commenting a bunch of stuff and sort of writing things in a way where if the robot can't do it, then I'll jump in and actually use my brain. And maybe if you like that kind of workflow, you can incorporate that into your work. I think there's definitely pros and cons to this kind of format rather than the previous formats that I would use, where I would build the example first and then go back and say, this is how you would do it step by step. It's much more refined. And the pro of that is the videos are much shorter and more refined and more fast paced. But this video is literally me sitting here for, this video is going to be 2.5 hours. But you get to see the full process start to finish, how I'm writing every single line, every single file, how I'm putting them all together, how I'm figuring out what I'm going to do based on the docs, what I'm searching, how I'm writing these lines of code using tools like Copilot and things like that. So you get to see more of the full process. And I know people have different preferences of what they want to see. Some people will want that more fast-paced video. Some people want this kind of video where they get to see the full process start to finish and maybe learn a little bit more this way and maybe learn more if you consume it in a faster pace. But who knows? I would really appreciate if you let me know if you enjoyed this kind of video more than the other kind of videos where it's more fast-paced and more refined. But let me know. I would definitely consider all of the feedback that you leave in the comments below. That would be much appreciated. And if you enjoyed this kind of content, especially, remember to like the video. It does help my channel get recommended to more people, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more kind of content like this. And let me know again if you want to see this kind of format in the comments below. With that said, the full source code for this project will be in the description, so you can go ahead and jump in, and if you want to contribute, sure, go ahead. And if you want to fix up any errors that you saw in this video, go ahead. Or if you just want to clone it and play around on it with your local environment, feel free to clone it and give it a star, share it with your friends, all that good stuff. But with that said, I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.